Extra, extra, read all about it! We're all fucked. Now, I'm sure you're wondering why they let this wannabe newsie into an ADS round, and where my funky hat is. But this newsie has some alarming news to share. And no, I haven't lost my bicycle. According to a September 16th, 2021 NPR article, since 2004, 1,800 local newspapers have either collapsed or merged. This has left many communities without a reliable source of local news, creating today's problem, the downfall of local newspapers. Local newspapers are critical to American democracy, and in a time when distrust in institutions, especially the news media, is at one of its lowest points, local journalism is a solution. So today, we'll lead off with the causes, examine some of the effects, before finally finishing up and publishing our solutions. Because losing our democracy is no laughing matter. No one finds it funny. Just ask Ukraine. Extra, extra, read all about the causes. There are two. The digital age has killed local newspapers, and second, hedge fund buyouts. But first, much like how video killed a radio star or how Alec Baldwin killed the director of cinematography, the digital age has killed local newspapers, specifically their revenue streams. Dean Riddings from September 5th, 2020 Northern Virginia Daily explains that even before the pandemic, local newspapers were struggling, with big tech companies like Google and Facebook eating up all the available ad dollars. I mean, someone has to pay for all those news stories about Karen's antics at the school board and how she is secretly stealing money away from the PTO. But local newspapers rely on these advertisers to stay afloat. So when finance bro Mark from Silicon Valley comes up and monopolizes on all the available ad dollars, local newspapers are forced to cut costs or drown in the financial ruin, much like me applying for FAFSA. But as local newspapers attempt to avoid this financial devastation, they arrive at our second cause, hedge fund buyouts. Because like most problems in America, you could trace things back to rich people. The Los Angeles Times from June 8th, 2021 explains how hedge funds are a threat to local newspapers. Now, what even is a hedge fund, you might ask? And do you need clippers to trim them? Well, I don't know. I don't spend my free time on Wall Street. I spend it like a normal college guy, watching Titanic, and calculating how they both totally could have fit on that raft. Rose should have never let go. But these hedge funds go up and buy up local newspapers that are struggling. In doing so, they close newsrooms, cut costs, and in some cases, avoid making the shift to online content. They do all of this in an attempt to maximize profits. They're basically like every 7-year-old who won a goldfish at the school fair. They just left it in that tiny plastic cup that got it in and thought it'd be there in the morning. It was not given the conditions to survive. In an interview with NPR's Jen White on October 18th of 2021, McKay Coppins, a writer for The Atlantic, exposes the main hedge fund behind all of this, Alden Capital. Which, if you ask me, sounds more like that weird investment firm that keeps messaging me on LinkedIn. Like, no, Glenn, I'm not interested in your sketchy unpaid internship that I won't even get class credit for. But Alden now has stakes in newspapers across the United States. The New York Daily News, the Baltimore Sun, the Chicago Tribune. This takes the local out of local journalism. And because big companies like Alden prioritize profit over product, if shutting down a newspaper is a good financial decision, they'll do it. So it turns out that your aunt who posts a little bit too much on Facebook was kind of right when she said that Mark Zuckerberg and Wall Street will lead to the downfall of America. They're treating local journalism as a financial opportunity and ignoring the consequences this has on communities that go without reliable sources of local news. Extra, extra! Read all about the effects. There are two: increased partisanship and the threat to investigative reporting. But first, without local journalism, we become more partisan. Like that was even possible. Ugh, Thanks, Obama. According to an October 29th, 2019 article published by the Knight Foundation. 6 in 10 Americans said that they trusted local newspapers. Can you believe it? We can get 6 in 10 Americans to agree on something. Now, if only I get 6 in 10 matches on Tinder. I guess being a local paper boy does not have the same appeal as I thought it would have. But local newspapers are seen as more trustworthy, caring, and neutral. They're the Mr. Rogers of journalism. They explain how news and laws impact your community. I mean, who else is going to do a story about your 8th grade health teacher getting arrested for doing drugs in Taco Bell bathroom? But when we turn to national news, we think in a pure partisan lens. We think Fox News and Sean Hannity getting a hard-on when he got to interview Donald Trump. Or Rachel Maddow telling us she got her new blazer on sale at Nordstrom's. 2 for the price of 1, baby! Because of this pure partisan lens, society gets more divided. Local newspapers help bridge this gap and unite our communities. They're out here doing what McDonald's ice cream machines never do. They work. A second critical effect is a threat to investigative reporting. Because without local journalism, we would miss out on groundbreaking headlines like local woman drives Kia Soul in the mayor's house, or Florida man fatally shoots neighbor in dispute over cat, or former USA Gymnastics doctor accused of abuse. The Indianapolis Star wrote that headline in their September 12, 2016 edition, and it became one of the biggest breaks in the case against Larry Nassar. The fact of the matter is, local journalists are game changers in the name of investigative reporting. The Boston Globe broke the child abuse scandal of the Catholic Church. The Chicago Sun-Times broke R. Kelly. Julie Brown from the Miami Herald broke Epstein. And yeah, the Indianapolis Star, they broke Jared from Subway 2. I mean, what's next? Is the Houston Chronicle going to find out that Ted Cruz really is Zodiac Killer? Local newspapers are game changers in the name of investigative reporting. I mean, where do you think the mainstream media gets their news from? From what is happening at the local level. Local journalists are out here holding the rich and powerful accountable and stopping pedophiles. So if you don't support local journalism, you're saying you love pedophiles. Your words, not mine. Extra, extra, read all about the solutions. There are 2, legislative and personal support. But first, let's see how by passing a bill we can save local journalism. The Seattle Times of August 22nd, 2021 outlines the Local Journalism Sustainability Act. This act, if passed, would give employment tax benefits to newspapers to hire local reporters. They can be either print or digital, and they would be up to $12,500 per journalist. This also gives individual tax incentives for people to subscribe to their local newspapers. This creates the economy for newspapers that the digital age has wiped out and maintains that local newspapers are profitable to avoid having to shift to hedge funds. Plus, it keeps local paper boys like me employed. And please help, I've been really trying to upgrade to a Razor scooter. On a personal level, support your local newspapers. Buy a subscription if you can. I mean, if you're spending $20 a month on Netflix to watch Love is Blind, I think you can find some better ways to spend that money. Interact with their content online. In the description below in this video, I will provide a link to an all-inclusive website that has links to all different local newspapers across all 50 states. As a forensics community, we pride ourselves on research and investigation, but oftentimes, local sources are left out of our content. Why? Throughout this speech, the majority of source content came from local sources. As a community, let's help build up these silenced voices, not silence them further. Today, we have seen the causes, effects, and solutions to the downfall of local reporting. Without local journalism, we put our democracy at risk. Now, if you excuse me, I gotta run down to the printing press. I got more papers to hand out.